attended by City Council and staff via Zoom teleconference. Thank you for your patience as we continue to navigate city business through this meeting process. For the benefit of the public and as required by the Brown Act, the vote will be by roll call. City Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Yes, Mayor Kalmick.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Verapapa.
Here.
Councilmember Moore.
Here.
Councilmember Sestarsik.
Here.
Councilmember Masalabit.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Now, by motion of the City Council, this is the time to notify the public of any changes to the agenda and or rearrange the order of the agenda. Does anyone wish to pull a consent calendar item? Okay, City Clerk, do we have any supplemental communications?
Yes, 2 supplemental communications were received. I'm sorry, my apology. 1 supplemental communication was received. It's been distributed to the council and made available to the public on the city's website.
Okay, thank you. I'll now call for a motion and a second for the consent calendar.
So moved. I'll second.
Thank you. I have City Clerk. Could we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Kalmick, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Verapapa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Sestarsik, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Masalabit, how do you vote?
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you. Now I'll call on Police Captain Michael Henderson for an introduction of a retiring Police Reserve Officer, Dave Maines. Michael?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council members, City Manager, and City staff. Tonight, we recognize Reserve Officer Dave Maines. Officer David H. Maines started his law enforcement career as a police officer in 1978. In his 43 years, he has worked a number of assignments. While at the Hawthorne Police Department, he was assigned traffic detail and motors, the DUI enforcement team, and the gang intelligence unit as a lead detective. In 1989, he was recruited by the California State Police as a police pilot, flying fixed-wing aircraft for various missions. Also during his tenure at the State Police, he was assigned to the Detective Bureau, working various desks, communication supervisor, and the coveted dignitary protection detail that protected the governor of California. In 1993, he transferred to the Criminal Fraud Division of the California Department of Insurance, working white-collar crime involving cases of insurance fraud. Due to his flying credentials, he was tasked with flying surveillance missions and utilizing both fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters. His other duties included training newly assigned criminal investigators and also train the trainers. In addition to being a certified firearms instructor, he acted as range master and firearms instructor. Officer Maines was hired by the Seal Beach Police Department as a Level 1 Reserve Officer in May of 1997 by Chief Bill Stearns and has worked for the city of Seal Beach for over 25 years. He concurrently worked at his regular job and the Seal Beach Police Department until his retirement from the Department of Insurance. Officer Maines is currently assigned to the Maritime Homeland Security Detail that helps combat drug and human smuggling, as well as working in the Patrol Division. He is also a member of the drone team as a pilot and is a terrorism liaison officer, teaching the subject of terrorism, homeland security, and criminal justice as an adjunct professor at a local college. Officer Maines is a commercial pilot with several ratings and over 2,500 hours of flying experience that includes a jet type rating. He's a certified polygraph examiner and has conducted polygraph examinations for many law enforcement agencies. Officer Maines' hobbies include being a big car buff and participating with his car club, flying, fine dining, and playing golf or trying to with his friends. We want to recognize and thank Officer Dave Maines for his 25 years of service and commitment to the citizens of Seal Beach. He will be missed by the Seal Beach Police Department, and we wish him well in his future endeavors. Now, I think Dave wanted to say a few things, so I'll turn it over to him for a moment.
Thank you, Captain Henderson. Really appreciate it. I wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity to work for the City of Seal Beach and the Police Department. It has been truly, for me, great experience. It's kind of bittersweet leaving, and when you do something for so long and then all of a sudden it's kind of done, it has quite an effect on you, as did the Seal Beach Police Department. For me, it was a family. It is a family, and I learned a lot and made a lot of great friends and acquaintances, and none of that I would give up for the world. Especially want to thank Chief Gonchak for everything he's done and how well over the years he's treated me as chief and also just as a fellow officer as he came up the ranks. Captain Henderson as well has been not only a good friend and a mentor as the chief has, but again, good friends. And I can't say enough about how tough it is to go. It's great to work for an organization like the Seal Beach Police Department and the people there and the people that were there. And I'm going to miss everybody a lot. So I might be popping in every once in a while to say hi and just see how things are going. And to everybody, the council, the mayor, Jill, everybody, I want to thank you again for the opportunity. And it's, again, tough for me, but I wouldn't have done anything else for the almost 26 years. The city and the police department have been a big part of me, and I'm sure will continue to be.
Thank you, Dave. And I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor Kalman.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Captain Henderson. And on behalf of the city, we certainly wish Officer Maines a great retirement. Thank you. Next, we're going to have an update on our beach lot parking signs. And I'll call on Chief Phil Gonchak to give us this presentation with our consultant.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Again, I appreciate you giving us the time to make this presentation to all of you. As you recall, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, we had discussed the signage enhancement plan that you all had requested us come back and present to you. So before you all today is our wonderful consultant for our parking division, Julie Dixon, and her staff to present to you the sign enhancement plan that we have scheduled for the beach lots as well. Maybe someday throughout the rest of the city, but right now, as you asked, we're focusing on our beach lots. So with that, Ms. Dixon, takes it away. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Chief, and thank you for having us this evening. We also have a couple of other parking updates that we'll add on at the very tail end, but if we can go to the next slide. We did a deep dive and did an evaluation of the signage that currently exists and basically created an inventory of the signage and then really looked at leveraging any place that we can consolidate signage, but also ensuring that there was good visibility, making sure that folks were able to identify what the parking policies were. And most importantly, when it came to the language and the verbiage that was utilized on the sign. So if we go to the next slide, a lot of the imagery will make a lot more sense as we go through it. And so when we looked at the overview of identifying what signs existed today and ideally where we would put new signs, it's important for everybody to understand Passport is the name of the mobile payment company that we leverage for mobile payments throughout the paid parking program. And one of the things that we're going to leverage was the terminology of back-in parking after much evaluation and consideration and basically surveying others that seemed to be the most cognizant and the most relevant on the verbiage. And it's what we actually utilized in the First Street lot locations. And so we are basically taking this model, and if we'll go to the next slide, you'll see the proposed format of the signage on the next slide. So you'll see being able to consolidate some of the, I'll call it legacy signage that is there, and being able to leverage on the right side the information to basically press the hours of operation, the fact that the program is managed by a license plate, along with the payment options, reinforcing the fact that the program is monitored by a license plate, again, supported by the municipal code and the California Vehicle Code. And then importantly, there at the bottom where we have the do nots, so to speak, is the no oversized vehicles, as well as no backing into a stall. And so by consolidating this approach, as we go to the next slide, you'll start to see the opportunities that we'll have to mitigate and manage and consolidate the signage. And then any place where we have the opportunity to include what we call a rider, which is very similar to the signage that we've leveraged on Main Street, where you'll see that red signage that says do not back into stalls, so that again, we can clearly message what the policies are for the beach lot locations. Next slide. And so as we go to the next slide, you'll also see we're looking at simplifying and updating the mobile payment parking signage as well, so that folks, again, can be very comfortable with the messaging in order to pay by mobile device. Next slide. And also for the payment markers there on the left side, you can see the existing signage. Some of you may have seen the signage similar on the right side throughout Newport Beach. It's a very clear delineator to really indicate the overhead of where they can come and pay at one of the parking kiosks, so taking advantage of that. And we do have one machine that does take currency dollar bills that's there by the pier in the 8th Street lot, and you'll actually see the moniker cash here at that location. Next slide. And so now getting into the specifics of each location, it might be a little too granular, but if we go to the next slide, you'll see we've actually looked at some mock-ups. Obviously, the kiosk or the building there is no longer there. It's actually been removed, but the simple messaging on entrance will have the basic rules associated with the 1st Street lot. Next slide. And then we've actually worked on the placement so that when the signs go to be installed, it'll be very clear which signs go where, so that again, the messaging is consolidated and clear and visible to our visitors and patrons. Next slide. And again, that pay here demoniker that will again highlight where the pay station locations are. Next slide. And then going into the 8th Street beach lot. Next slide. You'll see again simplifying the message at the entrance as much as we possibly can, retaining the historic monument sign for the beach parking entrance. Next slide. You'll also see again where we can consolidate the messaging, where again the business rules associated with those lot locations, the mobile payment information, and the next slide will also indicate the moniker to identify where the pay stations are located. Next slide. And the similar will be on the 10th Street lot, and you'll see again the same signage with the locations wherever we can take advantage of existing poles to be able to leverage that messaging. Next slide. And again, that demarcation of the pay here so that it will be clearly evident, especially when we have full parking lots, so that it's very clear to folks where they can park and pay if they need to pay at a kiosk. Next slide. And so right now, based on the signage updates, the installation cost, you can see that we're just under the $4,000 mark to make all of these updates and to simplify the messaging and to, again, hopefully have a very clear and concise message with our signage throughout the beach lots. Next slide. And overall, just since the head-in parking violations compared to the previous year, you can see that from the months of June through November 2020, that over 2,000 citations were issued. And then since our last meeting, basically June through November, we've issued 510 warning notices. Had those been citations, that amount would have equated to about $32,000. Next slide. And just a couple of other updates for all of you regarding the coastal development permit. We checked in with the community development director, and he confirmed that currently Coastal Commission is investigating the city's coastal development permit history relating to the preferential parking districts associated with Old Town and Main Street. And so we're just waiting for their response on that information. And we have obviously been continuing to gather data in support of the CDP and the LCP project. Next slide. And also importantly, I think everyone is familiar with, we have just concluded the permit renewal process for our residential and guest passes. And I will again have to really acknowledge Captain Ezra and team, only because of the fact that they were just so responsive to the residents that did have questions. Folks that are leveraging the city email address to be able to ask inquiries or needing customer service support. And you can see that to date, we basically have renewed 1,852 resident permits, along with 853 guest permits. And so it looks like we're getting everybody back online compared to the previous year. And so we're excited for that continued deployment. Next slide. And that is the information that we have for you tonight. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you, Julie. And then Mayor, unless you have some questions for us, we'd be happy to answer them, or if you'd like to discuss them later, we're open for discussion.
I just had one question. Do we have an idea when all the signs will be up?
Yeah, so we are hoping that we can get the ball rolling, for lack of a better terminology, tomorrow, and get the signs on order and work with Public Works to get those signs up as soon as they are ordered and or printed. Public Works has generously provided us the estimate for the cost to get that done. And we're able to complete that probably as soon as next week to at least begin. And then final phases of finishing everything maybe within 2 weeks after that.
Great, thank you. Any questions from council?
I have a question. Well, I have a comment or
Sure,
question, I
go ahead.
guess.
Go ahead.
We had talked, last time we talked about this as an item, that we might talk about doing just a warning for the back end parking, maybe on an ongoing basis. I know we can't talk about it tonight because it's not an item, but is this going to come back as an item that can be discussed by council?
Chief, do you have any?
We're at the direction of you, sir.
I see.
As I understood it, it was going to come back for discussion after we were briefed on this.
Well, I know that we were going to issue warnings until the end of the year, so we still have another month to gather more data. And so perhaps we can, I'd request that we put an item on the agenda in January, maybe the second meeting in January, to be able to assess what the results of having warnings only, and then make a decision regarding that.
Okay.
Mayor, if I could,
Absolutely.
maybe just a suggestion might be that we wait and see how long the lead time is going to be to have the signage up, so we can get a true analysis of how effective the signs are. So that may mean that we may not be ready for the January meeting, but I can definitely keep the council updated on where we're at with the signage. I just think it would be, I don't want to be too premature with a discussion before we've actually been able to determine how well the signage is working.
Even a better idea than mine. Yes, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
Let's do that. Okay. Councilmember Orr, does that answer your question for now? Do you have any other questions regarding the parking issue?
Yeah, just as long as we know it's going to come back in before the end of March or something like that.
Great. Any other comments?
Oh, just Mayor, if I could, I was just going to let you know that, yeah, we are still on a warning notice only at this time. So there are still no citations being issued until we have direction from the city manager as well as you. So I just
Great. Great. Thank you, Chief.
You bet.
All right. Next, we're going to have a Veterans Day proclamation. It gives me great honor, great pleasure, and an honor to read our proclamation for Veterans Day. Whereas on November 11th, 1918, the United States and its allies signed an armistice with Germany to end hostilities in World War I. The Great War exacted a tremendous toll on our nation. More than 100,000 American service members perished in the war, pardon me, and the lives of countless others were forever altered. And whereas in 1919, to honor and memorialize these sacrifices, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as Armistice Day, the precursor to Veterans Day, expressing solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service. The city of Seal Beach salutes the generations upon generations of American heroes who have sacrificed so much to secure the blessings of freedom for their fellow Americans. And whereas we will never be able to repay the debt we owe the brave men and women who have served in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. To the more than 20 million veterans alive today, this Veterans Day, we recommit ourselves to providing you with the respect you deserve. And whereas we remember the countless sacrifices that our country's heroic veterans have made throughout our history to preserve our liberty and prosperity. Our veterans embody the values and ideals of America and the timeless virtue of serving a greater cause. With respect for and in recognition of the contribution our service members have made to advance peace and freedom around the world, Congress has provided November 11th of each year shall be set aside as a legal public holiday to honor our nation's veteran. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Kalmick of the City of Seal Beach, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2021 as Veterans Day. I encourage all staff and residents to recognize the fortitude and sacrifice of our veterans through public ceremonies, thoughts, and prayers. In witness thereof, I hereby affix my signature and the seal of the City of Seal Beach this 8th day of November in the year 2021. And to make note that on Thursday, on Veterans Day, there will be a ceremony in Eisenhower Park starting at 11 a.m. All right, it's now time for public communications. At this time, members of the public may address the council regarding the items on the City Council agenda. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the council cannot discuss or take action on any items not on the agenda unless authorized by law. Those members of the public wishing to provide comment were asked to send comments via email to the city clerk or via comment icon on the city website before 5:30 p.m. today. Comments provided by email by 5:30 p.m. today were distributed to the council and posted on the city's website for review by the public. Email comments received after that time will be posted on the city's website and forwarded to the city council after the meeting. Any documents for review should be sent to the city clerk prior to the meeting for distribution. Those members of the public wishing to call in can join the Zoom meeting from any electronic device by clicking the following link: //US02 web.zoom.us/J/821-680-73337. Or they may also call in by dialing 1-669-900-9128 #. Those members requesting to speak by phone or on Zoom can unmute by entering *6 when called upon to speak. Once in the meeting, you will be added to the waiting room until the public comment period begins. At that time, the commentator will be allowed to join the meeting to offer their comments. Commentators will be allotted 5 minutes to address the council. The ability to comment will be disabled when your allotted time has expired. City Clerk, do we have any email comments or anyone on the call that wishes to address the council?
Mayor, no emailed comments were received, and there are no members of the public wishing to address the council.
Well, thank you. Now we'll have City Attorney reports. City Attorney Steele, do you have anything for us this evening?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. No report this evening.
Okay, moving on. City Manager, do we have a report from you?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you. I have a couple items tonight. First, last week, the Municipal Water District of Orange County, known as MODOC, issued a press release regarding their board's recent activation of MODOC's water shortage contingency plan in response to Governor Newsom's call for a voluntary 15% reduction in water use from 2020 levels. Since the city operates our own water utility and we import some of our water from MODOC, I thought it would be timely for our Public Works Director, Steve Miter, to provide a brief water update to the council and community tonight. And Steve can then address any questions of the council. Director Miter?
Thank you, City Manager Ingram, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. I want to start with some background so we understand how our water system sources are configured. A majority of Orange County cities, including Seal Beach, primarily rely on pumping from local groundwater aquifers managed by Orange County Water District to meet approximately 75% of their annual demand. It's noteworthy that Orange County is actively investing in conservation, long-term use efficiency, water efficiency, and reliability projects over the past 3 decades. Just in the past 5 years alone, Orange County has invested over $200 million in these type of water conservation projects and programs. As such, these investments have well-positioned Orange County for prolonged drought conditions. However, the remaining 25% of these Orange County cities and Seal Beach alike is directly dependent on imported water from both Northern California snowpack and the Colorado River Basin, both of which are facing unprecedented drought conditions, greatly reducing available imported water supplies from these 2 primary sources. It is this severe drought condition that prompted Governor Newsom to proclaim a statewide state of emergency, calling for voluntary 15% reduction in water use and for local agencies to enact their water shortage contingency plans. In response, on November 3rd, 2021, Municipal Water Districts of Orange County, also known as MODOC, enacted Level 2 of their water shortage contingency plan, which in summary calls for encouraging members, agencies, and cities to voluntarily reduce their imported water demand by 20%, elevate public awareness about drought conditions and encourage water efficiency efforts, increase cooperation and coordination with water purveyors and member agencies such as us within Orange County. At the local city level, the following water conservations are being taken. Phase 1 water conservation measure as specified in our city's water conservation ordinance still remains in effect, which in summary include performing irrigation of landscaping is limited to 3 days per week between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. on specified days, which are even number addresses Monday, Wednesday, Friday, odd number addresses Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Of course, agricultural uses in nurseries shall be curtail all non-use, but otherwise are exempt from phase 1. Washing vehicles and filling and refilling pools shall be performed only on designated irrigation days and times. Water shall not be used to wash down hardscapes or paving. However, unless there's a need to eliminate a sanitary hazard. The exception would be use of high pressure, efficient pressure washers. Basically, that is exempt. It's so that summarizes that. And finally, the staff is currently working closely with MODOC's consultant to develop and update the city's current water ordinance with a new ordinance based on the state Department of Water Resources model ordinance, water conservation ordinance, which is currently being utilized by regional imported water agencies, wholesalers. This new water conservation ordinance increases action levels from 3 to 6 levels of conservation, allowing a more refined and focused response to drought conditions faced by the city. The goal is to bring this updated water conservation ordinance before the City Council for consideration in February 2022. So I want to more specific to our phase 1 ordinance. We have the measures are in place, but we're going to be working with MODOC over the next 3 months to help educate the public regarding these requirements and just do more involved and more intense messaging than we've done in the previous up till now. So that concludes my report. And any questions?
Any questions from council?
Okay, Mayor, thank you. I had another item, since we only have one council meeting, as all of you know, this month, and we don't meet again until December 13th. I wanted to take the opportunity tonight to wish the council, our entire staff team, and the community a very happy and safe Thanksgiving holiday with your families. And that concludes my comments tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have council comments, general council member comments and reporting pursuant to AB 1234. So we'll start with Council Member Sostarczyk.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Council Member Verapapa.
Yeah, I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay. Council Member Masalabat.
I have nothing to report. Just have a happy holiday, everyone, and see you in December.
Okay. Council Member Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. I went to the Rossmore Community Services District meeting a few weeks ago, where they had a special meeting on redistricting. So I'd like to thank the city for giving us a further update later tonight. And it also felt good to see a lot of my residents enjoy Halloween in College Park West with their families, putting out tables out front and interacting with other neighbors. And I also want to wish everyone a great Thanksgiving, everyone in the city and the residents. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. And my comments are limited to wishing everyone in our city and their relatives and friends in other cities a happy Thanksgiving as well. So we have no council items this evening. Now we have the consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and are enacted by a single motion, with the exception of items removed by council members. So I'd like to call for a motion and a second for the consent calendar.
I move we approve the consent calendar.
Second?
Thank you very much. City Clerk Harper, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Kalmick, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Verapapa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Sostarczyk, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Masalabat, how do you vote?
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you. Next, under unfinished and continued business, we tonight will be announcing the appointment of the initial 5 members of the Board of Directors of the Seal Beach Historic Resources Foundation. We'll call upon City Clerk Harper to give us the results and any comments.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council, City Manager Ingram, and City staff. The item tonight is to approve the appointment of the initial 5 members to the Board of Directors of the Seal Beach Historic Resources Foundation. At the July 26th regular meeting, Council adopted Resolution 7085, which approved the bylaws for the Historic Resources Foundation. It directed the City Clerk to file the Articles of Incorporation with the Secretary of State. And under the proposed bylaws, the City Council are to appoint the initial 5 members of the Board of Directors to the Foundation. And afterwards, the Foundation will operate independently in cooperation with the city. On August 9th, 2021, staff released and posted a press release to the city's website announcing the acceptance of applications for the initial 5 Board of Directors to the Historic Resources Board. And that announcement was also published in the Sun newspaper on August 12th. Applications were accepted in the City Clerk's office until the end of business day, Friday, August 27th, 2021. In total, 17 applications were received by the deadline for Council's review and selection. On Monday, October 25th, the City Council held a special meeting and all 17 applicants were interviewed. Each applicant was given 3 minutes to provide background information, any knowledge and skills any fundraising efforts, and any other information that the applicant deemed pertinent to secure membership. Applicants were also given the opportunity to answer any follow-up questions from council members. And subsequently, each council member selected one applicant to serve as one of the initial 5 members to the board of directors. Please note that the applicants were not selected based on council districts and are not listed in any order of preference. If approved tonight, the initial 5 board members selected to serve as the board of directors of the Seal Beach Historic Resources Foundation are Lorenz Larry Kruger, Deb Machen, Emily Paris Sandler, Linda Stauffer, and Larry Strother. Staff recommends that council approve the appointment of the initial 5 members to the board of directors of the Seal Beach Historic Resources Foundation. This concludes my brief report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any council member comments? Okay, I have one comment. I do want to point out that there were no deliberations by the city council. Each of us was given the opportunity to submit our selection, and these were compiled by the city clerk's office. So if we have no further discussion, then I'll call for a motion and a second to approve the 5 members that were selected.
Can I just say something before we do that?
Sure, please.
I'd like to thank all the people that applied. There was a broad variety of interests, and a lot of it had to do with the city and its history. And there was a lot more than 5 that could have been on this panel. And I appreciate all of you applying. Please keep interested and attend meetings and participate. Your opinions are very valuable. And to the 5 that are chosen initially here, good luck. Have a good time doing this. And thanks for your participation. Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else again?
I'd just like to second what Sandra said. Thank you to all of them, and I hope they stay involved. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just echo, the both of your comments that, we have an opportunity to start fresh, pardon me, and bring any of our historic elements that we have, under an umbrella where they can be developed, preserved, and offered back to the city in terms of having them open to the public and be able to be viewed and enjoyed by the public, whatever those items that wind up in the foundation. So now I'll call for a motion and a second to approve the board.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Thank you. City Clerk, could we have the roll call?
Mayor Kalmick, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Verapapa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Sistarsik, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Masalabit, how do you vote?
Yes.
That passes 5-0. And again, congratulations to our new board. Under new business, we're going to have a discussion item regarding the redistricting process for federal, state, and local jurisdictions based on the 2020 census. And I'd asked city manager to do this for us, since there's so much misinformation out there about what the census has directed the redistricting process to actually do, and how it's going to work and what the ramifications are. So our assistant city manager, Patrick Gallegos, is going to make this presentation for us. Patrick?
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, members of the City Council. Tonight, I'm going to provide you with a brief summary of redistricting, particularly what it is and why we do it, why it matters, and who is in charge, what the timeline looks like, and how our residents can participate. From there, we'll open it up for discussion. So what is redistricting? Well, about every 10 years after the federal government completes the census and releases the updated population count, California must redraw the boundaries of its congressional, legislative, and state board of equalization districts so that the districts correctly reflect the current populations. Cities and counties must also do the same. Why does it matter? Redistricting is about the power at the ballot box and representation in a democracy. It's about the fundamental question of who gets to vote with whom. So if your community has a set of concerns and preferences and issues that really speak to your community, and other folks who live nearby or in the city next door share those concerns, you want to be in a district together because that means you can vote together. So who is in charge of redistricting? California is one of 8 states with an independent commission known as the California Citizens Redistricting Commission. This will be only the second time this statewide commission has drawn districts, but its 14 members are all new, 5 Republicans, 5 Democrats, and 4 not affiliated with either party. And so what's the timeline? Well, in 2011, the census released the data needed to draw maps in March, giving the commission 7 months to complete its work. But this year, the data wasn't released until this September due to delays caused by the pandemic. That only allows the commission about 3 months to give directions to its demographers, collect public input, and submit its final maps to the Secretary of State's office by December 27th. The commission sued to extend the deadline, but a judge denied the request in order to keep the June 2022 primaries on track. Currently, the Redistricting Commission is holding Southern California visualization and line drawing meetings for the public. Visualizations show hypothetical district-based boundaries for limited geographic areas from line drawers in response to a preliminary direction from the commission. These visualizations are created to allow the commissioners to review potential options. The dates and times of these meetings can be found on the California Citizens Redistricting Commission's website, as well as on the city's website. So how does the public participate? One of the commission's primary tasks is to collect public input and consider it in drawing the new districts. There are a few ways to get involved, and the commission's website has a host of ways in which to do it, but I'll mention a few. You can draw your own map. This year, there's a tool that anyone can use to create a map to share. You may submit a comment. The commission has a public input form on its website where you can submit your comments and attachments, including a map. These maps are uploaded to a publicly viewable database. You may also call in during the public comment period of a commission meeting. With regards to counties and cities, they are also allowed to have independent commissions under the Fair Maps Act, but it's not a requirement. In Orange County, the Board of Supervisors is responsible for drawing supervisorial districts, and the redistricting process must be completed by December 15, 2021. The county has held several meetings and most recently discussed the topic at the November 2nd board meeting, where 8 proposed maps were debated. Meeting documents that include the 8 proposed maps can be found on the County Board of Supervisors website. Residents can also learn more about participating in the county's process on their website. With respect to Seal Beach, the city's council is responsible for drawing council districts, and the city's charter provides comprehensive redistricting criteria. The council will notify the public about redistricting by noticing each public hearing in the Sun News no less than 5 days prior to the hearing, post the public hearing agenda online, and post maps online before adoption. The city's website will be updated with all relevant information about redistricting and the public hearing process. The city clerk and the city attorney have been working on this item and will be returning to council with next steps. Lastly, I think it's important to emphasize and reiterate that there are really three buckets of redistricting authorities and their jurisdiction. That is, the California Citizens Redistricting Commission redraws congressional, state assembly, and state senate districts. The Orange County Board of Supervisors redraws the county's supervisorial districts, and the Seal Beach City Council adopts any redrawn city council districts. We encourage the public to visit the individual websites for each of these entities to learn more about public meetings and the ways in which to participate. Again, you may also find this information on the city's website. We created atop the city's homepage a small button, and we named it Redistricting FAQs and Resources. With that, I'd like to open it up for the council for discussion. But before I do that, I want to inform you that we also have with us tonight Lauren Barish, Chief Gonchak's executive assistant, who has been instrumental in assisting me with this presentation. So with that, Mayor and council members, the floor is yours.
Mayor Kalmig?
Oh, there we go. Are there any council questions or comments?
I do. I have a couple.
Please go ahead, council members. Masalabit.
The only map that I saw was published in OC Voice, I think. And when I saw it, I was terribly concerned about it because it divides up Seal Beach and in particular divides Leisure World north and south. I was concerned about this because there is absolutely no reason why a city as small as we are, not the smallest in the county, but a smaller city in the county, should be divided into two different supervisorial districts. I would like to encourage the council to think about applying some pressure to this committee that's drawing the maps and get some real determinative direction from them in terms of how we can go about suggesting those lines to the north be relocated and to accommodate at least the boundaries of Seal Beach. So I'm terribly concerned about that. I'm also concerned about the congressional districts that are also being rebounded because it looks as though Seal Beach and I think Los Alamitos are going to be included in with Long Beach and Lakewood. What's that? We're just across the street from each other. We're not that different in many ways, but we are different in many ways. And having a Long Beach congressional chair who would most likely be elected will be difficult for City and Rossmore and Los Alamitos to be able to have a voice in what's going on with congressional districting and with what's going on in Congress. I think both of these issues are dramatically important, and we're getting such a late start on dealing with it that I hope that we can make a difference in these short 6 weeks that we have left. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else on the council?
I had a few comments.
Go ahead, Council Member Moore.
I spoke at one of the redistricting meetings during public comment, just arguing to keep Seal Beach in the OC Beach district. But the latest visualizations show Seal Beach in all the still part of Orange County districts for all three elected positions. But at the same time, I agree that we should make our voice known to keep it that way. And yeah, I also see in the latest visualizations, Los Alamitos and Rossmore as part of Orange County. So that's a positive change that I've seen recently. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. That's very good to hear, by the way, because I know that there's been a lot of concern, especially, you know, in Rossmore, Los Al, and you know, our northern districts. That's good news. Anyone else?
Yes, Mayor, I actually listened to about 6 hours of meeting yesterday, and I've listened to the meeting all day today. I too was concerned with the assembly maps where we were kind of split up. This latest map for assembly that was published yesterday, I guess, was good news that the rest, Rossmore, Los Alamitos, and us were together in Orange County. Today, there was, I just listened to a lot of public comment this evening, and they had a lot of people from Long Beach saying that Long Beach should be kept together, but also down the coast in Orange County a little bit, Steel Beach and Huntington. So they were, a lot of them asking for us to be included. And then there were others that were saying, let's keep all the Orange County beach cities together down to San Clemente. And I was concerned that that might bump Rossmore and Los Alamitos back out. But we are definitely a community of interest, sharing schools, sharing police dispatch, well, at least two of us, and you know, Orange County Fire and a lot of other things. So I think I will write a comment at least on that. As far as Congress, right now, Los Alamitos is in a different congressional district. Alan Lowenthal is their congressman, so they have been like that. Even though we're next door, we're in a different congressional district. So they've been working on the congressional districts today very slowly. So they haven't gotten around to us. But it's been interesting. But things have been real fluid. So there's not much time left, and I'm not sure when it's going to just finally finalize. But they said they were going to work all night tonight until they get the congressional district set. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Interesting. Mike, did you have any comments?
No, thank you.
Okay. I would just, again, want to reiterate, for some people who are under the misconception that if you are grouped with another city, in our case, Long Beach, that means that you're no longer a part of Orange County, and which isn't true. You know, there may be, you know, Shelley's point that there may be more influence by having either assembly or congressional leader who is going to be more focused on issues in LA County and more specifically Long Beach, and you would kind of be the poor cousin in this case. But again, I'm somewhat relieved that it sounds like cooler heads may be prevailing, at least up to this point, that you know, things will remain somewhat as they are in terms of that we're all part of, you know, Orange County. Thank you. Any last comments? I want to thank our Assistant City Manager and Lauren for putting this all together. Hopefully it'll be very informative for our residents, and reminding everybody this is only for discussion. There's no action required by the council on this. All right, we're actually done. We've come to adjournment, and now I'm going to adjourn the City Council to Monday, December 13th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. to meet in closed session if deemed necessary. So thank everyone for their involvement and participation this evening, and have a wonderful holiday season for Thanksgiving. Good evening.